Hi, so I'm on scene at a renovation project I got going. I'm doing some backsplash for the kitchen here. The homeowner selected 1.5 by 12-inch glass tile to go up 2 rows in a subway pattern. Putting this border in at the 3rd row and then carrying up with the glass tile to the underside of the cabinets. What I've got going on here on the left side is I previously glued the 2 bottom rows and the mosaic border in ahead of time so that it's got time to dry so that I can build up off of that. This border stuff is susceptible to sagging on how, like when you install it, so you can't really put shims between each level. So even though it's mesh backed, the tiles will sag. So again, you start with the 2 rows, get this in, let it dry for a day, and then I can carry on building off of that one. So what I'm going to do is just show you basic start to finish procedure in this area here, and we'll go from there. Okay, to start this off, I'm going to need to establish some lines. The client wants to start the tile at the edge of this cabinet, so I'm going to establish a level line here. They wanted me to start with a full tile at this line and end off however it ends off in this inside corner. I also am going to use my 16th-inch spacers between the glass tile. I need to also install horizontal lines so that I can put my border right up to that line so that when I start off of it the next day, it's all level and ready to go. So what I'm going to do to start that is I've got 2 of my glass tiles, a couple of the 16th-inch shims, space those out, bring in the mosaic border, and get myself off the countertop measurement to the top end of the border tile. So I've got 6 inches. So now I'm going to proceed with marking my vertical line here and my horizontal line at 6 inches across. Okay, so there's my vertical line for my starting point. If you were using a tile edge, this is where you would proceed to install that tile edge on this line. The homeowner in this case has chosen to leave the edge just the plain tile, which is acceptable as well. It's going to be a unique look with the glass edge still showing and the grout kind of just wrapping in. So now I'm just going to, I've checked my countertop for level. It's looking really good, so I'm just going to measure off 6 inches in around here and then level on through to the inside corner. Okay, so now I've got my vertical line marked in, and I've got my horizontal line set in to get these first 3 rows glued onto the wall. With this tile here, the glue that I'm using specifies I need to use a 1/4 inch by 1/4 inch notch trowel. With the mosaic border piece here, I'm going to use a V-notch trowel. So what I'll do is I'll back butter or back spread the mastic on these and individually set them. Then I'll use my V-notch trowel to spread the mastic on the wall for the border piece. Then once I carry on the upper portion, you've either got the option to keep individually gluing each tile on the back or to start spreading some mastic on the wall. It's a little more difficult to do a backsplash rather than a shower wall because you've got some obstacles as far as the electrical boxes to go around and things like that. So it might be easier for you just to back butter each one of your tiles and just go at your own nice pace rather than trying to spread out and work it at a faster rate before the glue dries. So again, it's up to your skill, it's up to you and where your skill level is at. So another trick that I recommend is, or tip, is that with the electrical boxes, you have to pull them out to get the tile in a little tighter around the box. I've got a black electrical tape wrapped around this receptacle because it is live and could get a shock on the side if I touch the screw. So when you're pulling these out, take the time, just wrap some electrical tape around the screws and the area where the wires go in so that you don't get an electrical shock when you're working around those areas. So, okay, so I've got my lines on, got my 1/4 inch by 1/4 inch notch trowel, got all the glass tiles set up here, pre-laid out, and even got my inside cuts in the inside wall there. So I'm gonna use my glue and begin to spread out some adhesive on the back. When you're doing that, you've got to keep the same degree of angle with the trowel that you would if you were putting it on the wall to achieve that nice even coat of adhesive. So you see I'm on the 45, dragging it across. Put some more on there on the 45. So see, I've got nice even ridges on the back of the tile. Once you've got it all spread out like that, press it on the wall, and that's all good. If your countertop is out of level, you might have to shim underneath the bottom of your tile to make it work. In this case, I've got a nice level, true area, so I'm ready to keep going. Okay, you can see I've got my 3 rows finished up here. I'm just hovering right below that line, which is where I want it to be. With these sheet tiles that are on the mesh backs, you do have to spread the adhesive on the wall. You can't back butter those up because it'll just push through the grout joint. So as you noticed, I used my V-notch trowel, spread the glue out right onto the wall, and then clean up your extra glue after you're done. Take some time just to check all your gaps, make sure you're happy with everything. If you've got some mastic on the face of the tile, it's always easier to clean that up before it's dry. So now I'm going to let this dry for a day before I start building up the rest of the way to the underside of the cabinets. Okay, so now I've got the backsplash tile up to the hood fan here. I needed to make some cuts on these last 3 tiles. I marked them out, got them cut on the wet saw. When you are cutting glass tiles, you need a different blade that's specific for cutting glass tiles. Makes the job a lot easier. There's no chipping out on the edge, which would generally happen if you try to use a blade that's recommended for ceramic or porcelain tiles. So just a specific thing that you need to know. And yeah, I'm just gonna finish back buttering these last 3, setting those up there, and that pretty well concludes our demo for glass tiles. Yeah, hope you enjoyed. Okay, that's looking pretty sharp. Just to recap what we were talking about today, again, setting these first 3 rows ahead of time, letting them dry, allows you to shim off these smaller tiles without any movement to happen. Just now that they were nice and firm, I was able to shim off them and finish my tile up. So yeah, I'm going to finish off the rest above this hood fan and some of the other areas in here, and then give you guys some final shots of everything. Okay, so I've got my non-sanded grout, frost is the color, mixed. I've cleaned out all my joints, got my countertops protected here, so I'm going to proceed with grouting. Very similar to a floor. Use a rubber float, going to grab some grout with it and work it into the joints on the diagonal, making sure that the joints are full all the way back to the drywall area. So once this area is spread, let it dry for a little bit and begin to wipe it down with the wet sponge. So anyways, we're about to start. Thanks.